Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. European leaders set to hold emergency summit on Ukraine next week. France to host the summit. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio arrives in Israel on first West Asia tour. Discussion on next phase of ceasefire with Gaza on agenda. Protests over corruption and train station collapse grip Serbia, demand government action. Stampede at New Delhi railway station in India's national capital, 15 dead and several injured, pro-border. And in tennis, Amanda Anisimova sweeps past Yelena Ostapenko to claim the Qatar Open title. All right, news in detail now. European leaders will hold an emergency summit on Ukraine. The summit will be held in Paris on Monday. Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski said French President Emmanuel Macron had called the summit of European leaders to discuss Ukraine crisis. The move comes after Donald Trump's special envoy to Ukraine said European leaders would be consulted but not take part in any talks between US and Russia over ending the conflict. Separately, the EU's foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas called a meeting of foreign ministers from the bloc at the Munich Security Conference for Sunday morning. The meeting would take stock of the latest contacts with US and Ukraine officials. And US Special Envoy Keith Kellogg stated that European leaders would be consulted but not involved in the US-Russia talks. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy emphasized that Ukraine would not accept any deals made without their involvement. US Vice President J.D. Vance criticized European democracies, stating that the greatest threat comes from within. Zelenskyy called for a united European army, citing concerns that the US may no longer provide aid. He emphasized that the old relationship between Europe and America is ending and Europe needs to adapt. Vice President Vance met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy to continue the Trump administration's conversations about ending Russia's war in Ukraine, alongside Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Special Presidential Envoy for Russia and Ukraine Keith Kellogg. Meanwhile, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer will be discussing European leaders' views with US President Trump during his visit to the White House. A follow-up meeting with European leaders and Zelenskyy is also expected afterward. UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy emphasized that Europe must increase defense spending as Russian President Vladimir Putin remains a threat even in the event of negotiated peace. And at the Munich Security Conference, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy warned the US against making a deal with Russia behind his back. He urged Europe to take charge of its security by forming its own army. Tripathi has more.
The Ukraine conflict took center stage on day 2 of the Munich Security Conference. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy urged Europe to act for your own sake as concerns grow over US support against Russia. He stressed that Kyiv and Europe must be involved in any decisions on ending the war amid Washington's push for talks with Moscow. Zelenskyy also called on the US to formulate a unified strategy to counter Russia. In a speech to the Munich Security Conference, Zelenskyy also called on Europe to create its own armed forces, urging the continent's leaders to decide their own future.
Without Ukraine's army, Europe's armies will not be enough to stop Russia. It's reality for today. Only our army in Europe has real, modern battlefield experience. But our army alone is not enough too. And we need what you can provide: weapons, training, sanctions, financing, political pressure, and unity.
European leaders, including German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, said that the conflict between Ukraine and Russia would only truly end with peace if Ukrainian sovereignty is secured. While China believed that all stakeholders in the conflict should participate in the peace talks. Beyond the Ukraine conflict, the conference also saw significant diplomatic exchange between world leaders. On the sidelines of the conference, US Vice President J.D. Vance lambasted European leaders, accusing them of censoring free speech and strongly criticizing German mainstream party's firewall against the far-right AfD.
The threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within, the retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values, values shared with the United States of America.
European leaders rebuked Vance and defended Europe's stance on hate speech and far-right. France too defended European policies following a withering attack by US Vice President, stressed nobody is obliged to adopt their model, but neither no one can impose theirs.
That's why we will not accept it if outsiders intervene in our democracy, in our elections, and in the democratic formation of opinion in favor of this party. That's just not done, certainly not amongst friends and allies. We resolutely reject this.
As the Munich Security Conference continues, discussions on Ukraine, US-Europe relations, and China's role in global diplomacy remain at the forefront of international security dialogue. With agency inputs, Tripti Tripathi, DD India.
And US Secretary of State Marco Rubio arrived in Israel late on Saturday on the first leg of his West Asia visit. Rubio landed at Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv and is due to hold talks with Israeli officials on Sunday when he will highlight President Trump's proposal to take control of the Gaza. The top US diplomat will also meet Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem on Sunday. The talks will focus on freeing US and all other hostages from Hamas's captivity and advancing to phase 2 of the ceasefire agreement in Gaza. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanked US President Donald Trump on Saturday for his full support in Gaza following the completion of the 6th hostage prisoner exchange. Netanyahu's office in a statement said that Israeli PM appreciates the President Trump's full support for Israel's decisions regarding the Gaza Strip in future developments. The statement further said that President Trump's firm stance led to the release of 3 of hostages on Saturday, despite Hamas previously refusing to release them. The statement came after Trump posted on social media that Israel should choose how to respond to the successful conclusion of the latest swap. The two sides exchanged 3 Israeli hostages held in Gaza for 369 Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails. Now, thousands of Israelis demonstrated in Tel Aviv on Saturday, calling for the return of all remaining hostages left in Gaza. Thousands packed the city's Hostages Square and another protest site outside the country's defense ministry to demonstrate. Families of Israeli hostages in Gaza demanded PM Netanyahu bring the hostages home first before phase 2 of the Israel-Hamas ceasefire deal begins. 19 Israeli and 5 Thai hostages have been released so far, with 73 still in captivity, around half of whom have been declared dead. The ceasefire's second phase is meant to usher in negotiations to return the remaining living hostages among the 251 seized that day and complete an Israeli military withdrawal before a final end to the conflict and the reconstruction of Gaza. Now, tens of thousands of students have descended on the town of Kragujevac in central Serbia. The protest, which erupted in the wake of the tragic collapse at a newly renovated railway station on November 1st, is being fueled by widespread anger and frustration over the loss of 15 lives. This outpouring of public dissent marks a turning point in the protests that began 3 months ago. The situation remains volatile, with protesters demanding concrete actions. The demonstrations have grown into the biggest threat yet to President Vucic's decade-long grip on power. In the tense situation, the president of Serbia, Vucic, said the protesters' goal was to bring down Serbia, adding that they were backed by unspecified Western countries. And the day after a second DR Congo provincial capital was seized by fighters backed by Rwanda, UN Chief Antonio Guterres called that Congo's territorial integrity be respected and a regional war avoided at an African summit in Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa. Asking for a dialogue, Guterres stated at the summit that deadlock must end between M23 fighters, Rwandan forces and the DRC.
Fighting that is raging in South Kivu as a result of the continuation of the M23 offensive threatens to push the entire region over the precipice. Regional escalation must be avoided at all costs. There is no military solution. The deadlock must end, the dialogue must begin, and the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the DRC must be respected.
A massive storm system is pounding the south and eastern parts of the United States with heavy rainfall, flash flooding, severe weathering, freezing rain and snow. Severe storms are erupting amid ongoing flash flood emergencies in places like Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky and Virginia, while more than 128 million people are under winter weather alerts. Tornado and flash flood warnings have been issued. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear declared a state of emergency as storms swept the lower Mississippi Valley. At least 48 people were killed in the collapse of an illegally operated gold mine in western Mali on Saturday. Mali is one of Africa's leading gold producers and mining sites are regularly the scene of deadly landslides and accidents. Authorities have struggled to control unregulated mining of the precious metal in the country, which is among the world's poorest. A local official confirmed the cave-in, while the Keneba Gold Miners Association also put the death toll at 48. The search for victims was ongoing. In January, a landslide at a gold mine in southern Mali killed at least 10 people and left many others missing, most of them women. Just over a year ago, a tunnel collapsed at a gold mining site in the same region as Saturday's landslide, killing more than 70 people. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. The city of Malaga in southern Spain has decided to put an end to horse-drawn carriages for tourists due to animal welfare reasons. However, several horse-drawn carriage drivers oppose this measure in the city. Hundreds of Rio de Janeiro residents celebrated the 30th edition of Imprensa Kugamu block party, roughly translated to press that I fall in love with in English. Amid the scorching heat, revelers dressed in various colorful costumes celebrated the carnival street party. The annual Ukraine Fashion Week festival is being held in Kiev. This year's event has garnered global attention as Ukrainian designers and brands have continued to thrive despite the ongoing conflict in the region. Models participating in the event described it as a golden time for the country's fashion industry. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Mahakumbh 2025 continues to witness an overwhelming turnout in Prayagraj. India's Prime Minister to participate in Bharat Tex 2025 on 16 February in Delhi. India emerged 3-2 winners in a thrilling match against England at FIH Pro League.
Timeless, boundless and infinite, the essence of faith, the soul of Sanatan culture, from the sacred confluence of Prayag, where divinity descends to earth. Witness the grandeur, the devotion, the magic, world's largest cultural and spiritual gathering, with over 450 million devotees expected to attend. Mahakumbh, India's greatest festival of faith. Exclusively on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. President of India Draupadi Murmu will witness the inaugural show of the new format of Change of Guard ceremony at Rashtrapati Bhavan on Sunday. In the new format, people can witness a dynamic visual and musical performance with the backdrop of the Rashtrapati Bhavan. The ceremony will comprise display of formal military drills by the troops and horses of the President's bodyguard and the troops of Ceremonial Guard Battalion, along with the ceremonial military brass band. The change of guard ceremony will take place in a new format with increased seating capacity from February 22nd. The change of guard ceremony is a military tradition that is held every week to enable a fresh group of President's bodyguard to take charge. A stampede-like situation broke out at New Delhi railway station late on Saturday, causing multiple deaths and injuries. The incident claimed the lives of at least 15 people, several injured. The incident occurred around 10 p.m. IST as thousands of passengers gathered to board their trains. It is not yet clear what triggered the stampede. A high-level inquiry into the incident has been ordered by the Railway Ministry. Now, President Draupadi Murmu condoled the loss of lives in the incident, expressing grief. On X, she wrote, and I quote, "Deeply anguished to know about the loss of lives in a stampede at New Delhi railway station. I extend my heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families and pray for speedy recovery of those injured," unquote. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed grief over the incident. Posting on X, he wrote, and I quote him, Distressed by the stampede at New Delhi railway station, my thoughts are with all those who have lost their loved ones. I pray that the injured have a speedy recovery. The authorities are assisting all those who have been affected by the stampede," unquote. Minister for Railways Ashwini Vaishnav took cognizance of the incident and sharing the information on X. He wrote, and I quote him, "Deeply saddened by the unfortunate stampede that occurred at New Delhi railway station, my prayers are with all those who have lost their loved ones. The entire team is working to assist all those who have been affected by this tragic incident. High-level inquiry ordered. 4 special trains to evacuate this unprecedented sudden rush at NDLS. The rush has now reduced," unquote. And now to the latest from the Mahakumbh, the largest gathering of humans anywhere on the planet. The Mahakumbh 2025 in Prayagraj has drawn an overwhelming number of devotees to the sacred Triveni Sangam, the confluence of Ganga, Yamuna and the mystical Saraswati rivers. Displaying unwavering faith and devotion, more than 48 crore pilgrims have already taken the holy dip, seeking spiritual purification and blessings. With 10 days left for the grand event to conclude, officials anticipate that the total number of pilgrims could surpass an astounding 50 crore. Even after the completion of the 3 main Amrit Snans, Makar Sankranti, Mauni Amavasya and Basant Panchami, the enthusiasm of pilgrims remain undiminished. People from across India and the world continue to arrive daily, making Mahakumbh a global spiritual spectacle. The Mahakumbh is not just a religious gathering, but a reflection of the rich spiritual heritage and enduring faith of millions. As the sacred waters of the Triveni Sangam witness history, the event continues to inspire devotion, unity and cultural pride. Now, India is weaving its way into the future of global textiles with the Bharat Tex 2025, one of the world's largest textile exhibitions taking place in New Delhi. With sustainability at its core, this mega event is bringing together global leaders, innovators and industry giants to shape the future of textiles. DD India's Akshay Dongre reports.
From raw materials to high-end fashion, Bharat Tex 2025 is a grand showcase of India's textile industry. But beyond business, the central focus here is sustainability, reshaping the global textile trade with eco-friendly innovations and responsible sourcing.
We want to demonstrate to the world that India is not just a textile leader, it has the capacity to produce at scale and sustainability, and it's a reliable partner. We have visitors from 120 countries. We have every top country in India exhibiting here. And our theme this year is Innovation Meets Responsibility.
With over 5,000 exhibitors and participation from more than 120 countries, Bharat Tex 2025 is a melting pot of ideas and trade. The event organized by a consortium of 12 textile export promotion councils and backed by the Ministry of Textiles, spans from fiber production to fashion, home furnishings, and cutting-edge technical textiles.
As a student, I am getting exposure with a lot of Indian brands, getting to know, and as a fashion student, I am getting to know like internships where I have to do, like what type of like people I am getting to interact like with a lot of type people from different backgrounds, and it's really interesting.
We get more exposure here and how we are going to do in industry, and here every brand is different. They are showcasing themselves.
This year's theme, Resilient Global Value Chains and Textile Sustainability, is driving conversations across 70 conference sessions, CEO roundtables, and B2B meetings. Innovations in eco-friendly dyes, biodegradable fabrics, and energy-efficient manufacturing are taking center stage.
Textile industry has a big role to play. The industry in itself harps on future. So whatever we are producing today has to be sustainable for the future. And we are looking for something which is clean, which is fair traded, which is organic. And for this, we are making all the efforts because we have the control from the farm to the customer.
Blending tradition with innovation, Bharat Tex 2025 also highlights India's rich textile heritage. Fashion shows, trend forecasts, and product launches showcase the industry's evolution while staying rooted in craftsmanship. As the world moves towards responsible fashion and sustainable textiles, Bharat Tex 2025 is proving that India is not just keeping up, but leading the way. Akshay Dongre's report for DD India.
Sports updates now. We'll start with tennis. Amanda Anisimova clinched the first WTA 1000 title of her career with a 6-4, 6-3 victory over Yelena Ostapenko in a rain-interrupted Qatar Open 2025 final on Saturday. Anisimova is the lowest-ranked champion in tournament history and the first American to triumph in Doha since Monica Seles lifted the trophy in 2002. Meanwhile, Ostapenko was coming off a resounding victory over three-time champion Iga Swiatek in the previous round, but Anisimova showcased incredible ball striking and precision to clinch the title this time. The rain also suspended play for some time. However, once the match resumed, Anisimova broke serve and kept up her all-out attack strategy to wrap up the win after 1 hour and 21 minutes. Hockey now. In a thrilling encounter, the Indian women's hockey team defeated England 3-2 in their opening match of FIH Women's Pro League in Bhubaneswar on Saturday. Vice-captain Navneet Kaur sealed the victory with a decisive late winner. Vaishnavi Vittal and Deepika Kumari were other scorers. Darcy Bourne and Fiona Crackle scored for England. Two of India's goals came from penalty corners, showcasing an improvement in an area that has often been considered their Achilles heel. Shooting now, the National Rifle Association of India has appointed Olympian Jaspal Rana, Jeetu Rai and Dipali Deshpande as new coaches to train rifle and pistol teams. Rana, a four-time Asian gold medalist, steps in as the coach for 25-meter pistol shooters. Rana coached Paris Olympic medalist Manu Bhaker. Rio Olympian and 2014 Asian Games champion Jeetu Rai has been named as the national coach for the 10-meter pistol shooters. Dipali Deshpande, former coach of Paris Olympic bronze medalist Swapnil Kusale, takes charge as head coach of the rifle team. In all, 16 new members were appointed to the coaching team, while 19 were retained. And world number 1 Italian tennis player Jannik Sinner accepted a 3-month ban from tennis after he admitted team mistakes led to him twice testing positive for traces of banned substance clostridiol last year. In a statement, Sinner said that the World Anti-Doping Agency accepted that he had no intent and did not derive any competitive advantage from the 2 positive tests. The 23-year-old Italian, who last month won the Australian Open, is suspended from 9 February until 4th May. He will be eligible to play in the year's next Grand Slam event, the French Open, which starts on 19th May. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.